everybody doing today? My name is Charles, and this is Survival Preparedness for Beginners. And on today's episode, we're going to go over some of my other episodes that I've already done because I've been getting a lot of comments and stuff through either my Messenger or Facebook, not so much on YouTube, from friends, family, and acquaintance and everything else. And a lot of the comments and everything that I've been getting is, why do I need to do this? Do you think this is the end of the world? There's no food shortage, so on and so forth. And I just want to reiterate, I'm not doing this to scare anybody. I'm not doing this to say, there's going to be a nuclear holocaust, we're going to be invaded or anything like that. I'm doing this to bring awareness to people why they need to be prepared. That's the whole idea behind me starting this YouTube channel. That I had the word I used was epiphany on to do this. I just feel it's important to get this out there, and I want people to understand I'm not trying to scare you. All right, I'm trying to wake you up to what is going on around us and what has gone on in the past and how things are getting even worse. I have printed off some stuff that I'm going to go over today on storms and some different storms and different fires and floods and stuff that has happened in the past. And I printed a lot of this stuff off most of the major news networks, Wikipedia, and just to give you guys an idea of why I am doing this and why that I believe you need to be prepared for a natural disaster or something that we can't control. Either if it's a grid down situation, something happens, or if it's a hurricane, flood, fire, storm, anything. Anything that we can't control, that Mother Nature throws our way, or if man does something stupid that may cause us to either not be able to get to the stores to get food, to have a food shortage, and so on and so forth. But before I get going, if you would please hit that little like button, click that share button, share it with all your friends, family, get it out there. Hit the subscribe button, hit that little bell, ding. This way here you'll get notified every time that I do a video every week. Now before we get going, all right, I do have one person that keeps commenting on my on YouTube, and they want to see corned beef hash in my videos. They have said that, I do these videos and I show different things, but there was no corned beef hash. So what I have here is 2 big cans of corned beef hash, just for you. So now you can't say that I did not have corned beef hash on my presentation, which is a very, good thing to have on hand for emergency situations. A lot of people like corned beef hash, some don't, but eating it right out of a can cold, not my favorite thing to do. But if you do have a way to heat it up and warm it up or whatever, cook it, it is very good and very tasty. So in that, I want to get going on reading some information on some different things that have happened to give you guys an idea of why I'm doing what I'm doing. We're going to start off with Hurricane Sandy. Hurricane Sandy was referred to as Superstorm Sandy. It was the deadliest, most destructive, as well as the strongest hurricane of the 2012 Atlantic hurricane season. Now I also do know my sister-in-law lives in Long Island, New York, and they were without power for I don't know how long, and we were actually sending care packages down once the service started running again between the post office and UPS, and sending care packages with food and supplies and stuff in it down to them. Because if you're not prepared and you don't know how bad it's going to be, and you think you have enough, always plan on having more, because they can predict what they want to predict, and we all know how the weathermen are at predicting nowadays. It seems like they have more technology, but less, I'm trying to think of the exact word I want to use, predictability of what is really going to happen. They kind of give you an idea of what's going to happen, but they don't know exactly what's going to happen or how bad it may be. It was, as I said, Hurricane Sandy was the strongest hurricane in the 2012 Atlantic hurricane season, affecting nearly $70 billion in damage. It was the second costliest hurricane on record in the United States, surpassed by Hurricanes Harvey and Maria in 2012. There was 233 people that had passed away during that storm. It's a lot of people. You know, I mean, sometimes if they tell you need to leave, you know, you really have to question, all right, can I stay safely? I may have the supplies and stuff, but depending on what type of a situation this may be, it may not be too wise. In the United States, Hurricane Sandy affected 24 states, including the entire eastern seaboard from Florida to Maine. Florida to Maine. It's a long ways, and that's a lot of people. And at west across the Appalachian Mountains to Michigan and Wisconsin, with particularly severe damage in New York, New Jersey. Its storm surge hit New York City on October 29th, flooding streets, tunnels, and subway lines and cutting power in and around the city. Damage in the United States amounted to $65 billion. That's with a B. In Canada, 2 were killed in Ontario, and the storm caused an estimated $100 million in damage throughout Ontario and Quebec. Hurricane Irene. Now, I was in Vermont when Hurricane Irene hit, and there was a lot of people up there who were just like, oh, you know, we're so far inland with the mountains and everything, it's just going to be a rainstorm. Let me tell you, it wasn't just a rainstorm. Hurricane Irene was the largest and destructive tropical cyclone which ever affected much of the Caribbean and the east coast of the United States during the late August of 2011. There was 49 direct deaths involved in that and 9 indirect deaths because of Hurricane Irene. Hurricane Irene in just Vermont, okay, because I was there and I lived in these areas that were affected. I know, and what I seen firsthand. I seen trees floating down streets, bridges washed away, roads, you couldn't get out of town, roads were closed, bridges were gone. It was scary. You know, I had somebody, a police officer, come to my house and tell me that I needed to leave because a dam may break. And I didn't end up leaving because of the Great Flood. Back in history, my area did not flood because I lived up on a hill. I was not in a flood-prone zone, if you want to say. So I made the decision and stayed. The dam did not break. Almost every river and stream in Vermont flooded, resulting in at least 3 deaths and 1 missing. In Wilmington, the flood level of the Deerfield River East Branch reportedly exceeded levels measuring during the 1938 New England hurricane. 1938. It just goes to show you how all these storms, cyclones, and everything else, they're getting worse every year. If they do make landfall, they're just getting worse and worse and worse. You know, whether you believe in global warming or you don't believe in global warming. Something is actually changing out there, and it's causing these things just to get more extreme than what they should be. Throughout Vermont, numerous covered bridges and many over 100 years old were damaged or destroyed. I've seen a few of them float right down the river. It was heartbreaking because they're beautiful. If you've never been to Vermont, well, hopefully if some of them are still standing, you can go and see some. Extensive road damage resulted in the isolation over a dozen rural towns that would require helicopter airlifts of necessities and in the days immediately following the storm. The storm decimated multiple sections of U.S. Route 4 between Rutland and Quechee, making east-west travel through the southern part of the state nearly impossible, and that's where I was. The resort town of Killington, as well as neighboring Pittsfield, were completely isolated from travel in and out for 2 weeks. Statewide, the cost of repairs for road and bridge damage alone were estimated to exceed $700 million, and that's just in that one little state. Most people don't even know. They think Vermont is a city, and Vermont is a state. It is small. Relief concerts were also organized by local Vermont bands such as Parrish and Grace Potter and the Nauticals. By December, the state was recovering more quickly than originally expected. Within a month of the storm, 84 of the 118 closed sections of the state highway and 28 of the 34 bridges has been reopened. The state had relied on assistance from the National Guard units in 8 other states and highway workers lent to us by New Hampshire and Maine. Repair costs ultimately turned out to be about $175 to $200 million, which most of it was recovered by disaster relief. And that storm, that was quite the scariest thing. You know, when you actually live through something and you know, it wasn't fun. You know, it was pretty bad. California. We're going to talk a little bit about power shortages and wildfires. I mean, this year, in beginning of the year and moving right through to the end of the year here with their power. We'll start off right here. Another 300,000 people in the Bay Area will lose power before the day is through. And the other utilities in California are considering following suit as the state hopes to avoid another devastating fire season. You know, they cut the power because they get the high Santa Ana winds blowing down through the mountains, and it blows down the power lines, and boom, you got another fire. You know, maybe that's something they should look into, burying some of those lines. I know here in Florida, a lot of the lines are buried, you know, just to help to avoid the situation. I understand it can cost a lot of money to do that, but we're going to have to do something because they can't keep doing this. You know, wait till you see how many people we're talking about. The first phase of the international shutdowns left 513,000 Northern California homes without power early Wednesday morning, and at noon Pacific time, another 234,000 homes will be powered down. Now remember, I'm saying homes. PG&E is also considering another 42,000 shutdowns in its southernmost service areas. These figures represent the customers who will lose power, not the total number of people affected. Cutting power to over 800,000 customers will leave around 2.5 million people without power. They had no control over it. If you saw it on the news, people were, you know, rushing to the stores trying to get up anything they could, you know, on, you know, canned goods, stuff that you can open and you can eat, you know, having emergency batteries, backups, whatever. You know, everybody's trying to, you know, run around and get all that stuff. It's better to be prepared. You know, I've covered a lot of this over some of my other videos, you know. First aid kits, you know. I did a video on that. I'll put some links up, and this way here you people can go back and watch some of those videos. I'm not going to get into the, you know, the whole thing on those. You can go back and watch the videos and learn all about that kind of stuff. Wildfires in 2019. The 2019 wildfire season, the current running fire season in California is so far over 6,402 fires have been recorded to California Fire and the U.S. Forest Service, totaling an estimated 250,000 acres of land burned. Now, for people that maybe don't know, a lot of food and a lot of stuff comes from California. It's a very popular growing area, just like Florida is with, you know, with what we have here, you know, corn and oranges and all this kind of stuff. It's the same thing out there. You know, and you start affecting these areas on a large scale, and the next thing you know, it's going to start affecting the food, which the government isn't going to come out and tell you if there is any type of a food shortage that could be coming because they don't want to scare the American population. In late October, the Kincaid Fire became the largest fire of the year, burning 77,000 acres in Sonoma County by November 6th. We all seen that on the news. It's one of my big thing, people were, just grabbing stuff out of their homes. The fire's burning right behind their house, or the back of the house was on fire, and they're running out the front door with armfuls of, clothes and supply, whatever they could grab and throw in their car and trying to get the hell out before they became consumed by the fire. Which is one of the main reasons why I believe that people should all have backpacks, and that will be coming up in another video that will be coming soon to all my viewers. There was 5 fatalities so far, and like I said, there was over 6,402 fires. But once again, there's nothing wrong with what's going on into the atmosphere and everything else, or global warming, or that's what everybody wants us to believe, I guess. The 2019 Midwestern U.S. floods. Now this one is a scary one. The Midwestern United States has been experiencing major floods since mid-March 2019, primarily along the Missouri River and its tributaries in Nebraska, Missouri, South Dakota, Iowa, and Kansas. Right up through the middle of the country there. Basically where most of all our food is grown, especially grains. The Mississippi River also has been flooding throughout, starting later this year and ending earlier. The 2019 January to May period was the wettest on record for the U.S., with multiple severe weather outbreaks through May in the Midwest, High Plains, and Southern, baiting the flooding and the causing additional damage. Throughout late May and early June, rain in Iowa, Illinois, and Missouri caused every site on the Mississippi River to a top 5 crest. At least 3 people in Iowa and Nebraska had died. Nearly 14 million people in the Midwestern and Southern states have been affected by flooding, which the New York Times has called the Great Flood of 2019. It's pretty amazing. There was new record levels set in 42 different locations along the Mississippi River. All through $12 billion in aid was made available to farmers who lost money due to the trade war last year. Now this is important, listen to me. Last year, all right, Reuters reported that the USDA had no program to cover the catastrophic and largely uninsured stored crop losses from the widespread flooding. So basically, the farmer got screwed again, and they're not producing the food that we need in this country. And we also have to remember that we ship a lot of food to other countries. At least 1 million acres of U.S. farmland in 9 major grain producing states have flooded. Let me repeat that. At least 1 million acres of U.S. farmland in 9 major grain producing states has flooded. That means they're not producing. On September 17, 2019, a third round of flooding along the Missouri River was considered likely due to heavy rains up to 4 times what is normal in parts of Montana, North and South Dakota, and Nebraska. By October 28, 2019, it appeared that prolonged Missouri River flooding, which has lasted as long as 7 months in some locations, could continue all winter with no end in sight. So what does that tell us? That tells you that you need to be prepared, and that also tells you why I say that you need to have 2 weeks of at least emergency food on hand. Unless you have this huge house or huge storage area where you can go and store up a whole year's worth of food, it's just too much. But at least if you have a couple of weeks, by then hopefully something has come up. They've set up emergency places where you can get food and water. But if you got enough to get you at least 2 weeks, by then something should be up that's been set up through the government somehow, some way, to help take care of people that are in desperate need. That's just the way that things work. I get a chuckle out of how you always hear that, they're staging FEMA and they're staging food and they're staging water and all this kind of stuff around areas, especially with hurricanes, because they know that they're coming, and so they can get it right in there. Well, half the problem is yeah, it's staged, and it's staged outside, say, ground zero, but they can't just get it right in there. That's what you need to understand. Yes, it will come, but it's going to take time for them to get in there. For one, if they have debris, they have to clear off all the roads and the debris and the power lines that are down and everything. They can't just drive right over that, so they have to clear a path in to a certain area, and then you have to be able to get out of your area to get to wherever it is that they set up. It's not like they're going to come knocking door to door and handing out food to you. That ain't going to happen. So if you've got a 2-week supply of emergency food, water, batteries, some way to get emergency information, backups, first aid, this is going to help you out tremendously in that time. Now let's talk about power grid. All right. Now this is a whole big thing. People talk about the power grid. People are going to attack it, cyber attacks, and so on and so forth. And sometimes it doesn't even have to be a cyber attack. They had the one that was up in New York and went up through there, and it was because of some line that blew, and it put everybody in the dark. Once again, we can't control it, but if you're prepared, you're prepared. More than likely, within 2 weeks, it'll be back up and running. The last week, this is coming from eNewsNet. Okay, this is from the security experts on the national grid. Okay, last week the U.S. power sector marked a sober milestone, and an anonymous Western utility became the first to report a meticulous cyber event disrupted grid operations. Now, it disrupted the grid operations, but there was they caught it in time before anybody really lost power, which is a good thing. All right. No U.S. electrical utility is known to have experienced any disruptive cyber attack in the past, and a surprising fact given that utilities routinely find themselves in the crosshairs of the world's most sophisticated hackers and can face millions or more run-of-the-mill hacking attempts every day. So basically, eventually, I do believe that some of these hackers out there, they're really good at what they do. And eventually, one of them is going to get through to one of these main national grids, and they're going to shut it down, and they're going to hold it for ransom until they get paid their money that's probably going to be deposited into some Swiss bank account somewhere. And once again, we have no control over it, until they get their money and they turn it back on, the hackers themselves, it's down. The grid runs everything. Forget how robust it is. How many other critical infrastructure sectors rely on electricity? Said John Hillcrest, Director of Intelligent Analyst of Cybersecurity from FireEye Incorporated. So basically what this person is telling us is they're constantly probably putting off these hacks, stopping them, hopefully that they could stay pretty well ahead of the game, if you want to put it that way, but eventually somebody's going to do it. They're going to get in, they're going to find some way in, some back door somehow, some way, and they're going to shut everything down. But once again, that's one of the main reasons why I'm doing my videos. I'm not doing my videos to scare anybody. I'm not doing my videos to put fear in the general public, especially, most of you, everybody that's watching right now are my friends and family, and I consider everybody family. We're all in this boat together. That's why I encourage you to please share my videos and stuff with all your friends and family, because we all need to work together to keep this boat afloat. Right now is a great time. It's the holiday season, So as I have said in one of my first videos, you know, you do not have to have thousands of dollars to go out and buy all this at once. You know, this is why I started Survival Preparedness for Beginners. You're a beginner. You know, you got to start off small and work your way up until you get your food and your water and whatever else it is that you want to put away for you and your family. You know, but right now with being holiday seasons, man, they got all kinds of killer deals. Went to the store, Maxwell House coffee, you know, buy one get one, bought 4 of them. You know, they have oats, you know, oatmeal, boom, buy one get one, you know, big container. You know, I mean, they have all kinds of stuff, all the great sales and stuff, and I had put that in one of my previous videos that I'll put a link to. And you know, during the holiday season is the best time to try to stock up on, you know, food and canned goods and stuff like that. You know, I'm gonna next week if I have enough time. This is a very busy time of the year for me, but because I do have some stuff that I need to put in some Mylar bags, and I would like to do a video on that next week. That's my plan at this point. That may change depending on work, but we will see. My Mylar bags, I have a bucket right here. You know, I keep sugar. You know, there's 4 pounds of sugar in it. It's all sealed up. You got red beans, pinto beans, and I don't know if you people can see this, but if you look right in the front, you know, you can, like I had said in one of my previous videos, you know, you just cut out the instructions and everything else. You put it right on, you can just tape it right to the front of the bag, and you're good to go. I just want to thank everybody for everything that you guys have been doing for my channels, for a lot of the views that I've got. You know, I've been blown away. You know, I'm new at this, and a lot of people are watching and everything. And I am getting comments, like I had said. You know, a lot of them are coming through my Messenger and Facebook and you know, basic message. And but if everybody would please put all your comments and stuff on to my YouTube channel. Reason being is I'm trying to get a dialogue going and conversations going between everybody that's out there. I would like to, you know, if you have ideas, if there's something that you do, you know, throw it out there. Like I said, you know, we're all in this boat together. Put it out there so we can discuss it and give people information. It's just a great tool, you know. There's with technology nowadays. One of the reasons, you know, I started this is just because I just truly believe in my heart that, you know, I'm just trying to make the American people, or, you know, people of the world, you know, aware of what is going on. Now it's not as easy to do some of these things that we're doing in other countries, and I understand that, but in the same token, maybe it is. You know, maybe you can put a little bit of food aside and everything else. I don't know how other countries, you know, basically work and how much their food costs, and if they have like sales like we do here. You know, I don't know all that kind of stuff. But here in America, we do, and we can be prepared. You can be prepared for you and your family. So I'd like to thank everybody for everything you've done for me, for my channel, for all the likes, for all the watches. Please click the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, click that little bell, and look out for my next video next week, which hopefully will be on packing up Mylar bags and how I do it. And like I said, if work permits. Hope everybody has a good week, and I'll catch you on the flip side.